and welcome to yet another Fireside chat at the Rise World Summit 24. I'm Kiran Shaiva, the convener of the Rise World Summit and the Pico World community. I have with me Dr. Sapna Poti, Director, Strategic Alliances in the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Dr. Poti, welcome.
Thank you.
A very quick insight into your profile, which is very long, but I'm going to make it a little short for quickly, but I would encourage our viewers to 100% learn more about your work because it's incredible. Yeah. Dr. Poti's current role is to facilitate and promote scientific research and development and innovations in India. And in order to progress this major objective, she has architected Manthan, India's platform for industries and foundations to connect with academia and startups. I cannot tell you how much this is in sync with what we believe are the key stakeholders: government, industry, civil society, and academia. Absolutely, totally what we believe at the Rise World Summit. Dr. Poti is also a PhD from IIT Madras with a dissertation in enterprise resource planning and has around 30 years of experience. Welcome, Dr. Poti, once again, and we are looking forward to hear more about you and the wonderful work that is happening at the Scientific Advisors Office to Government of India.
Thank you.
Okay, so to get started, I think, for me, the first word that jumps out is really innovation. And I think you also believe very, very strongly in that. And with the PSA's office focused on innovation, how do you think we can really make sure that this is encouraged and promoted in India? Because that's, what you are doing so much. A little on that.
Sure. So Karen, as you know, during the COVID times, when the pandemic hit us, I think all of us were looking around for one thing clearly, and that was innovation. And that is how there was this whole birth of the Strategic Alliances division that we call ourselves. And I was, of course, alone at that time. And we got a lot of support from industries, and we had thousands and thousands of innovations coming our way through startups, as well as academic institutes that had done research and so on. And we were inundated with these, solutions. And one had to really quickly, think of how to evaluate so many innovations, what would be relevant, what won't be relevant on the ground, and so on. And especially because it was a pandemic, we were physically not meeting. We had no idea how to deal with it because it was our first time and so on. But however, that was a huge success for us. So while the pandemic was not such a good thing for the nation, as a division, this was where we could actually get collaborations from industry, innovations, as well as startups and academia to work together. And that was the birth of this division, as I mentioned. So right from reagents, which actually Korea was, we were importing from Korea, and those were not working for us well. So we developed it in-house. We had NCBS and CCMB and some of these institutes working with Rockefeller Foundation, where the funds came in, and we did these reagents. TCS was the one which made the entire ecosystem of online marketplace. Find was another organization that brought in the overseas market. And we also had Biocon and Tata's and so on buying these reagents for their testing kits and so on. And the startups were the ones who innovated in reagents. Similarly, we set up about 54 hospitals across the nation, using 15,000 square feet land by each of the state governments that had quickly offered us this, and the corporates funded it. And today, these hospitals have been adopted by these corporates. Similarly, we also had projects related to oxygen concentrators, ventilators, and so on and so forth. So I can go on and on, but there were several of them, 160 projects handled by one individual, of course. But then that gave us idea that, okay, innovations and research, if we take them to the next level, we should be able to do much more. And hence, we got this division, we got a couple of team members. And now it's a formal organization of sorts under the Office of PSA that has been working on this. And that's how the innovations, were very important for us. Now we look at innovations in all SDGs, be it water, waste management, renewable energy, education, skill development, and also in emerging technologies like quantum, space, defense, and so on and so forth.
That's really, really amazing. And you mentioned a lot about what is happening happened during COVID. So of course, and that I'm sure is continuing to give it the momentum that it has right now. You have this cluster program, to encourage entrepreneurship again, because while the corporates and of course the larger foundations you mentioned are doing a great job of working together, it's also the entrepreneurs who are fueling the economy, so to speak. And I know that's again that a very big focus by the PSA office to kind of encourage that. Maybe you could share a little bit about how startups and entrepreneurship is another key part of, along with the cluster program.
Right. So we wanted to kind of experiment on these things called city clusters, right? So we formulated some of these key clusters. We had, say, for instance, Bhubaneswar, Jodhpur, Pune, Delhi, as the clusters. And then we have Bangalore today, and we also have Chandigarh and so on. So all these clusters, their role is to get all the academic institutes, startups, central government as well as state government excited about social impact using innovations and so on, encouraging MSMEs and startups also to work together. And they solve a lot of the state government issues locally, regionally, as well as look at national issues. So some of them could be wastewater, it could be Chilka Lake rejuvenation and livelihood through that, or it also could be gamification of STEM education through a Center of Excellence in Education in Pune cluster. Bangalore is looking at traffic management, it's looking at water, waste management, agriculture, and so on. So there are several of these clusters who look at their own thematic areas. Jodhpur, for instance, trying to help the artisans because they have NIFT Jodhpur, they have IIT Jodhpur, and and so on. Health as well, AIMS Jodhpur, again IIT, and so on. They come together and try and resolve these issues. And during that period, of course, startups play a huge role. MSMEs and SMEs play a huge role. So when we talk about startups, we do not differentiate between startups and MSME. We treat all of them together. In fact, in my division, it's a very clear mandate that whoever innovates or whoever researchers is the one who is important for us. We don't care if they are from an IIT or an NIT or a premier institute or tier 2 or tier 3 colleges and so on. It just doesn't matter. Why? Because of the fact that during COVID, we had the diagnostic done by My Labs, and My Labs was literally a garage startup which had started by themselves, and they said they had the CDSEO certification, and now they wanted to go to the next level. And that's how we connected them to NCL Pune, and then they got mentored, and today they are so huge that they are the best diagnostic startup in the nation. So why should we be the ones who should come in between the growth of any individual in this nation is the point. And hence any innovator or researcher is important for us.
That's amazing. And I think so many success stories that you have shared. But one of the things that I really, again, felt was really amazing is to see the breadth and the depth of the kind of approach that you have. As you rightly said, it does not really matter who the individual or the institution is and what is their background. It could be very small, it can be very large, it could be from tier 2 cities, it can be from the metros. I mean, that's immaterial, right? I mean, what is really material is the fact that they have something to offer on the table, and definitely where the benefit is kind of taken by all. And that's a very, very collaborative and a systems approach, where you're really looking at the entire ecosystem rather than pockets of, let's say, excellence or pockets of requirements, etc. So I think if you can maybe share a little bit of what your thoughts on systems thinking, a systems approach, and, value co-creation, because that's, again, a big focus of the Rise World Summit. We would really, really appreciate that.
Sure. So the whole idea of collaboration itself is system based, right? Without an ecosystem, we are not going to have collaboration. So from government, from private sector, from global Indian foundations, and literally every country outside of India also, we need to have collaborators coming in, and that cannot happen unless you have a whole system in place, right? And secondly, values. I mean, the entire division stands on credibility and value-based system, because of the fact that be it inclusiveness, be it being responsible, or ecosystem, of course, and being responsible to the ecosystem as well, and of course, being sustainable, because we also look at sustainable development goals as our goals itself, right? All these put together is what makes this collaboration fruitful. It's not the only individuals who are in the team, right? We have several partners. I mean, partners like you, there are several of them who have come on their own, and many of them we have not even invited. We didn't even know they existed. But they have been very kind enough to notice the kind of work we are trying to do. And, we started at a particular pace, and now we are at a huge scale, despite the fact that we are a small team. How did that happen? Mainly because of the way the system worked and the way the entire ecosystem came forward. And of course, the joining of the dots and leveraging them is also something that we managed to do quite well. In terms of inclusivity, I think right from working with the differently abled, where we are looking at placement platforms for them, to women in STEM, that's a huge focus for us, where we are looking at internships for tier 2, tier 3 college students, taking them to some of these premier institutes so that they go through internship. Of course, they are funded by Biocon and by BSF, which is a German company, and so on. So we don't, touch government funds as much as possible. We look at any problem statement with funding, either from industry or foundation, or from the line ministry, which is Government of India. However, that is to solve that particular problem. So funding comes from there. And similarly, we have been blessed in terms of the marketing and communication partners that have come on their own, be it Amazon, Netflix, Sunset TV. We have Jaipur Literature Festival, Teamworks, and latest is Daily Hunt. So all of them have come, picked up their innovations and communicated science in a very innovative manner. In fact, you should also look forward to a startup hub, which is basically episodes that I have broadly given them the script because we have only 300 innovation hubs or incubators, and hence we need to use OTT to see capacity building for startups and so on. And these series would be reality series. Again, we put it up on our platform, and we got a lot of response. And from that, we have about 14 reality founders for a reality show. And these founders talk about their experiences and how communication is important, capacity building is important for the, training of their resources, human resources, and then also leadership styling and things like that. So entire capacity building training is being tried out through an OTT platform. And that's again thanks to Amazon, again a zero budget from our end, and they've pumped in a huge amount of money, and they've also got investors like Snapdeal and Kunal and so and a couple of them, and I think we have Wasaba as the moderator and so on. So that's the other thing, and Netflix is doing some international movies. Sunset TV, we have requested them to take it to the MPs because MPs also have their MP-led funds and so on. So a lot of innovation has been also within this space, right? When the partner comes in, he doesn't or she doesn't know what to offer, but we look at innovative interventions that these partners can do with us.
So I think, when you talk about transactional partnerships, it becomes just a little more difficult, when you first start talking finance. Whereas as you spoke about exploring, where partners don't even know what they can do, but they're willing to come to the table and talk, I think that just starts the ball rolling to explore so many other, tangible and intangible partnerships that may not necessarily be financial. And I think what you are explaining is a lesson in systems thinking and an application of that. So thank you very much for sharing that as well with us. And as you talk about systems thinking and SDG, I think again that's like the largest landscape I can think about, which covers all the problems that the world faces. And you have a focus on SDGs. You mentioned it before. Many of your work is related directly to the SDGs. How do you see the SDGs driving? Because the agenda is 2030, right? And we still have a way to go to kind of achieve them. So what do you think we need to do to really accelerate this movement towards SDGs, and how can the interlinkages help us if we approach it that way?
Right. So when it comes to SDGs, what we think is that science and technology touches every SDG, right? So be it water, waste management, or environment, skill development, for instance, or it could also be zero hunger through agriculture technologies and so on. So each of these, we have looked at different ways of addressing them. One is to have a focus center of excellence, which focuses on that particular SDG. So let me give you some couple of examples here. We have the Water Aqua Maps Center of Excellence in IIT Madras. We have the Sanitation Center of Excellence in IIT Palakkad. We have TERI, which has the circular economy. And then we have renewable energy and clean tech in IIT Dharwad. NIT Patna has AI for health. And so on. So there are several of these, again, air pollution and air purification is done by IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, and so on. So all of these centers of excellence focus on one particular area and look at different pillars in this area, right? One is to scout for science and technology in that space. Second is to look at making a cohort and, developing a, startup ecosystem. Third is to look at piloting and then scale up, right? And we ensure that in the governing council, we also provide them a line ministry member, so that they are very clear that, there is no policy issues, or they don't need to get into policy advocacy, etc., because of the fact that from the beginning, the line ministry would guide them in terms of what is required and what needs to be done. So these centers of excellence focus on SDGs. So that's one thing. Second is the early R&D, that we support. That's the other one. We support all of this through foundations and CSR funding and so on, because that's our role to market, our innovators and researchers and get them as much as funds, grants largely, not investments, right? And that's again philanthropic, and that's unconditional. So early R&D, and then finally the market-ready innovations. And a huge amount of it is also infrastructure and in-kind. So like you mentioned, that it need not be all the time, it need not be funding. It could be, computing space by Amazon, for instance, or Intel or Lenovo providing the entire, laptops or HPCs and so on. Or somebody says that we have factories and you can come and manufacture. So startups get a space over there and so on. So there are several ways of, providing infrastructure as well as in-kind support. So all of this is for us to align with these SDGs and the goals. Of course, there is a huge difference between where we are today and where we need to get and so on. However, this is our, if we align all our work to these SDGs, then we will surely go to the next level, is what we think.
Beautiful. I think I love that line, last one. If we align ourselves with the SDGs, all of us together, we will find the dots connecting far faster and perhaps move faster towards achieving the SDGs. So thank you, yes, for that. This thing. You are the architect of the Manthan platform, yeah, and you are also a fellow of the Swedish Institute, Swedish Transformation Program. How do you see Manthan? I mean, first, to tell us a little bit more about Manthan, and two is, how do you see that really transforming, and how should we encourage people to come more towards Manthan for the partnerships?
Right. And before that, we are also achieving LM. So that's very important. Why Manthan was architected was because of the fact that we didn't want to be a bottleneck to the huge scale of collaboration that's possibility, right, in India, especially because we had a huge demand side and a supply side. When I mean demand side, I mean line ministries, state governments, foundations, industries, high network income folks, people who have problem statements, but they have funding to back problem statements, because otherwise a country of this size would always have problems, and people just keep talking about problems, but I'm a solution provider. So I would like a problem statement to come with funding or with some kind of a backing of support. And this is housed on the platform. And that's the pillar one of this platform. And this basically is disseminated to all those who have registered on the platform. And these are academic institutes, startups, MSMEs, individual innovators, researchers, and so on, without any particular backing per se. So anybody could be part of the story, and they have to then provide solutions to the the problem statements, and they have to develop their proposals as per our template, which is a very exhaustive one, so that they also question themselves while they are developing their proposal. And they have to be crystal clear in line costing. They have to be crystal clear on what the mission is, what kind of team structure they will put in place, what methodology. If they are a startup and they already have an innovation, then they need to do a market research on the different innovations in that space and ensure that they explain what is their unique selling proposition there. So it's a humongous task to make that proposal, but once that is done, there is a lot of clarity, right? And hence the evaluator or the funder is able to look at what it is. And then, of course, you could also do a peer review, which means that you could select the subject matter experts under each SDG or under any emerging technology. And these subject matter experts could be from other institutes, foreign institutes also. We have targeted about 40 foreign institutes and Indian institutes and industries and so on. So any subject matter expert, but that person has to have project credentials, has to have journal papers and all of that to make himself a subject matter expert. So those people could be invited to peer review their proposals, and finally the selection. And we are very particular that the results and the success story and the video, etc., needs to be uploaded on the platform so that people get excited and they come for the next one, and there's credibility and accountability here. Which is there as part of the platform. The second pillar, which is a large one, is again showcasing their proposals of R&D which they want support for, or showcasing their market-ready innovations if they are startups, in aligning to some sustainable development goal, or it could be that they are subject matter experts, so they upload their profiles. Or it could be that they have scholarships and those kind of programs that they need support for, and they're an academic institute, and all of these, so they can upload those, and or they are setting up a center of excellence, and that can be also there, so that people can connect through. It's similar to LinkedIn. So you could connect if you are a prospective funder and you like some particular project, you could connect to them and then take it forward. And lastly, of course, there is an events and exhibition section. I am sure you, as well as Shevning, all of them have used that particular section quite well, where you could ask for exhibitions of innovations once you, shortlist some of the proposals, or you could look at, say, calling for an open exhibition or an open event. Right, so that can be done, and the audience would be largely the members who are there on Manthan, which are in many thousands. And then, of course, we use social media. So those people also come in, be advertised in the Startup India portal, Atal Innovators, and all of these, right? So private and public innovators come to know of it. And the last one is all these episodes that we're talking about that are made based on Manthan. Amazon, Netflix, Sunset, Doordarshan does agriculture technologies, and then JLF, etc., be Inspired series. All of them are made available on the platform, and people can view it as they want it.
That's amazing. And I think you're absolutely right. There is a need for so much more collaboration. And, it's really enlightening to see how you say we don't want to be the bottleneck. So even recognizing that and creating that platform so that you accelerate the collaborations in the country, I think is immense, actually. And not just in the country, right? Because you spoke about foreign universities, etc. So I think it's a global footprint in that sense, and a global opportunity for people to be on the Manthan platform. I know we are very grateful for being partners with the PSA office, and also, of course, with the Manthan platform. And I know we've benefited a lot. And I would definitely encourage our partners, our viewers, our participants to explore the Manthan platform and, leverage it, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs on this at the Rise World Summit. We have a lot of citizen and foundation and civil society, and of course academia as well, along with corporates and other government. So yes, thank you very much for, of course, sharing more in detail about the Manthan platform. I'm very sure that there will be a lot more crowd now onto it, moving towards that. Yeah. So I guess we are coming to the end of our chat, but I do want to get maybe one last, thought from you. And this is really about the vision, right? What do you think is the way forward for Manthan, and how do you see that happening?
Right. So this year we have done something like 6,300 crores worth of funding, funded problem statements, and supply is where the capacity building needs to be further, undertaken. So we need to look at how we can do that. Rural development again is something that I would like to focus this year onwards, because there is a lot of scope for agriculture technologies, water, environment for rural, development. We'd also look at wanting to look at MSMEs, so where we could look at energy efficiencies for MSMEs, for instance, through that academic institutes. There's a huge US framework for that. So, some of your foundations could be interested, and they could, join hands with us for, supporting capacity building of MSMEs. Tier 2, Tier 3 colleges, again, we would like research and innovations to happen there. So while there could be infrastructure, but we need a lot more capacity building of, these colleges. So all of this thematic areas and projects related to these thematic areas is what I would like Manthan to take forward, because business as usual will continue, and people will keep coming in, and so on. But we also need to look at, just like we had aligned to SDGs, can we align to some of these 3 or 4 thematic areas and build on that? In addition, we also want placements of researchers to be done. So we are looking at a phase 2, where we are looking at CSR funding, as well as an organization coming forward to build this, through an academic institute or by themselves, for phase 2, which is going to be on placements of researchers, as well as supply and demand, using AI matchmaking. So these are phases that we're looking at for Manthan, and I'm sure 6,300 crores could be multiplied manyfold if this happens, and larger ecosystems will be able to benefit from that. And of course, this has been a crowdsourced funding so far, and Office of PSA has pitched in for the last leg of the development, as well as for the yearly costs, which is quite huge in any case. And hence, the phase 2 will be completely pro bono and a philanthropic initiative.
I think that's amazing. And the numbers you've already shared are huge, and the success story is amazing. What is even more incredible is that your vision is to multiply that, not just to increase it by some percentages, but literally do a multiplier effect. And I think that's really the need, right? To really think big, because that's what systems thinking also allows you to do, and collaboration, of course. So one more thing, of course, I wanted to point out from what you said is you spoke about all the 4 RISE values. In fact, in your this thing, you spoke about responsible, you spoke about inclusive, you spoke about sustainable, and then of course ecosystem friendly. So I would like to thank you for reinforcing those values that we believe in so strongly, that drive the Rise World Summit. I would also like to thank you for the partnership that we have with Manthan and with the PSA office. Of course, we look forward to continue with the partnership, and once again look forward to being part of the Rise World Summit in other ways as well. Thank you very much for this wonderful chat, and wish you a best day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That was pretty easy because of the kind of work that you do. It's nice to partner with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.